Joe Paterno in Penn State, helped mold me into the man I am today, which is why everything I do, I think about what is in the best interest of the university. And there, has been an internal conflict around our athletic department that has gone on for years that I haven't spoken up about in a public setting because I didn't think it was in Penn State's best interest. Now that we've lost our basketball coach to a competitor due to NIL, I believe that I wouldn't be doing my duty if I didn't speak out.
I'm so pleased to be joined today by Brandon Short, member of Penn State's Board of Trustees for his second term, an obviously very accomplished football player from the Penn State football program, went on to have a lengthy NFL career and has done great things in business since that time. Brandon, welcome. Thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Nate.
Obviously, there have been some things that have happened over the last couple of weeks that I think you can give us an interesting perspective on in terms of Penn State, the Board of Trustees, NIL, all of these things that are happening with athletics. But I know you're here to give us some insight into another event that's near and dear to your heart that's coming up here soon.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. I had a tragic loss. I lost my daughter, Carly, and her unborn child to a senseless act of gun violence, and trying to channel that negative experience, the most difficult experience of my life, into something positive. We started the Carly Short Better Tomorrow Foundation, and its mission is to support students who've been affected by gun violence, offering them scholarships. The scholarships will start at Penn State Greater Allegheny, which is in my hometown of McKeesport, PA. Last year, we had our initial gala. We raised $600,000 for students who have been affected by gun violence. We endowed 3 scholarships. This year, our gala is on April 28th in Pittsburgh. Want to encourage everybody, if you can't attend the gala, to go on to our online auction. We have a ton of great online auction items, from whiteout tickets, Steeler tickets, signed Jack Ham memorabilia, signed Jerome Bettis memorabilia. Just come on out and do whatever you can to support students who've been affected by gun violence.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know that's obviously very close to you, and important work that you're doing there. So obviously very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Other important work to you, obviously, is in your role with Penn State's Board of Trustees. If we could, let's just get started there. What what did you see in terms of Micah Shrewsbury and his exit from Penn State basketball, and maybe some of the ways that NIL impacted that for him?
Yeah. Thanks, Nate. Well, first of all, all 31 sports are my sports. I'm here to represent all athletics and the entire university. So they're all my sports. They're all our sports, and we got to all get out and support them. As such, we lost Micah, for a number of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons was a lack of support through NIL. College sports is a changing landscape, and if we want to be competitive, we need to be competitive at all levels, and NIL is a key element of that. Like a lot of us, losing Micah was a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call for me. When he chose Notre Dame over Penn State, I felt heartbroken, embarrassed that a school could come and take our coach. We're Penn State. We're not a stepping stone job. Penn State is a destination job, and I think we need to do everything that we can to make sure that never happens again. And that starts with supporting the athletic department and being aligned from top to bottom. That means the administration, like investing in coaches and facilities. That means the fans going out and supporting our teams, filling the Bryce Jordan Center and Beaver Stadium, win, lose, or draw, and showing them how much they mean to us. And it means donors in investing in supporting NIL. A lack of NIL cost us our head coach. And we need to learn from this. And as a community, support NIL initiatives and make Penn State, make the world know that Penn State is the best athletic department in the country.
This obviously isn't a new topic. I guess in my frame of reference, it's not a new topic, but I think maybe to some of the viewers out there that it is, right? Where do you see this right now, right? It's such a complex topic. I think that one of the words that I latched onto from Micah during the process was the word controversial, right? He said that the response from Penn State fans and donors, and some, I think, even in the administration, was that of it being a controversial topic. How have you seen the last 18 months of this, 20 months of this shake out and its role in Penn State?
Yeah. And I get Micah's comments, and they're legitimate, because I had a difficult time sort of adjusting to NIL. Because at Penn State, and we don't cheat. Just a point blank, we were brought up in an environment where you don't pay players, but the market has evolved, the rules have evolved, and the teams that were already had infrastructure in place that were misbehaving, they had an advantage on Penn State. Now that we all have a chance to take this in, we have to adapt. And we have to work to be the best. I mean, if we want to compete and we want to perform at the highest levels, we need to compete at all levels. And that means investing in NIL. That means being not just investing, not just matching. We need to be able to go out and outperform and beat other schools. I know that there's some astronomical numbers out there. You got Arch Manning, who's the number one quarterback in the country, making $3.7 million. That's a massive number. But guess what? We got the number one quarterback in the country in our huddle right now. And we need to make sure that quarterback is getting – doesn't feel like, he needs to look at another school because the Penn State community didn't get out and support them. So yeah. It is a process. We are evolving, but that evolution has to happen now. I mean, it has to happen quickly and immediately. It's already cost us a basketball coach. We don't want it to cost us recruits or even our football coach.
Although it happened to basketball, how much it brings into focus the risk that's at hand for football, and whether or not you have a gauge, as being a letterman for that program, of what the fear is, right? What the level of concern is about Penn State's football NIL specifically being up to the task and really what its peers are doing nationally.
We're woefully behind, and James is outperforming and recruiting and building a team without having the support that frankly he would get at other schools. We are Penn State. And we are a great institution, but that isn't going to ensure that we perform and we can stay at that highest level. You have schools that that have $12 million, in an NIL package to distribute amongst their players. And Penn State doesn't have anywhere close to that. So if we think that we're upset and we're shocked about what happened, in basketball, that very well could happen in football as well.
What is the climate of Penn State's Board of Trustees right now in terms of NIL, certainly, but also its support for Dr. Pat Kraft, the new athletic director, and some of the initiatives that he's trying to undergo?
Look, Nate, I love Penn State. Joe Paterno and Penn State, helped mold me into the man I am today, which is why everything I do, I think about what is in the best interest of the university. And there has been an internal conflict around our athletic department that has gone on for years that I haven't spoken up about in a public setting because I didn't think it was in Penn State's best interest. Now that we've lost our basketball coach to a competitor due to NIL, I believe that I wouldn't be doing my duty if I didn't speak out. For years, there have been a small group of alumni-elected trustees that have been working to undermine our athletic department, openly voting against spending and behind the scenes working to block initiatives that would move the athletic department forward. Now that same group of alumni trustees have inserted themselves into NIL and directly into Success with Honor. Success with Honor has to do well for Penn State to prosper, for Penn State to do well. But I don't see how that's possible when you have the same group of alumni-elected trustees that are working to undermine our athletic department involved in Success with Honor. We need everyone aligned from top to bottom, and that in order to make Penn State the best that we can be. And right now we're not there.
What does that look like when you say undermine the athletic department? What are some of the stances that have been taken? What are the things that you see as holding back what the athletic department is able to do right now?
Well, there's a lot that I can't share, but I can tell you that we have our current football coach has been here for 9 years, and we have alumni elected trustees who claim to be leading the NIL efforts who've never met with the head coach in the 9 years that he's been here, much less discussed NIL initiatives. And I know this because they've discussed it. They speak about it openly. So what happened in basketball very well could happen in football. Now, I know some of the people that are the founders of Success with Honor, and they're great Penn Staters who've done tremendous service to Penn State over the years. And so the Success with Honor, the premise of the collective is strong, but they need to separate themselves from these trustees that have been working to undermine our athletic department so that we're 100% aligned and we can make Penn State the best we can be.
Obviously, there is a Board of Trustees alumni election that's coming up. Okay, I believe that starts April 10th, next week.
Yes.
What value do you see in this election? Because look, let's be honest, things have changed, I think it is fair to say, in terms of how alumni view the Board of Trustees, right? In the heat and the aftermath of 2012, and all of the events that transpired then, there was such a great interest in it. I'm not sure that that's necessarily the case now. But where do you view its importance in terms of these alumni elections that are coming up?
I mean, they are tremendously important. Beyond being a father and a husband, serving on Penn State's board is the most rewarding thing that I do. That you have access and affordability. We deal with research. We deal with diversity, equity, and inclusion. We deal with so many issues that affect people's lives on a day-to-day basis that are behind the scenes that no one ever sees. And who's on the board matters. Leadership matters. We had three, for a lot of people that are upset about losing Micah Shrewsbury or some of the things they see, in athletics, we have three incumbent trustees who all voted against Lash, all voted against supporting our football program, at a time when they needed it. So I just implore, if you are concerned about tuition, if you're at affordability, or if you're concerned about access, or you're concerned about any issue about Penn State, make your voice be heard. Get out and vote in this alumni trustee election. I'm supporting Randy Houston, Ali Krieger, and Uma Moriarty. That's Randy Houston, Ali Krieger, and Uma Moriarty, because I believe that they're best positioned to help lead Penn State into the future.
You mentioned voting against Lash. Just so people understand what that means. certainly Lash has undergone these massive changes over the last few years.
Yes.
It is still a project that's being worked on. To what degree do you see that evolution of football's facilities as being important, not just to that program, but really to the health of the university, or maybe a reflection of where it needs to be to compete nationally?
Yeah. Well, when I was recruited, I was the number one linebacker in the country, and I could have gone anywhere. And although, I came to love Joe Paterno and Tom Bradley and the people that brought me here, I came because we had the top facilities in the country. Haluba Hall was the first indoor practice facility in college football. Lash at the time was the first all sports complex, all football complex in college football. We had Nittany Apartments, which were one of the top living facilities, which we need to upgrade now. So one of the biggest reasons why I came to Penn State was because of those facilities. And I don't think it's a mistake, that or it's by chance that, we invest in Lash and we bring in Drew Allard, the number one quarterback in the country, and Nick Singleton, the number one running back in the country, because it shows the commitment that the university and the community has to the program.
How far has it progressed, right? Like how many strides have been taken from maybe even where it was 5-6 years ago to now? And how much of a gap do you see as being left?
Ohio State has an operating budget on an annual basis that was $13 million more on a year per year on Penn State. That is the coaching staff, that is trainers, that's nutritionists, that's strength training equipment, $13 million. We're expected to go out and compete with, some of the top schools in the country, and they're outspending us by $13 million a year. Now that gap is closing. Pat and Neely, have come in, and again, they've been like a breath, of fresh air with their forward thinking and looking around the corner, for problems. So in my view, we are in a much, much better place than where we were. We're near the top, but like anything, I want to be the best. We don't want to just compete. We want to work and we want to be the best, and that's where we're headed.
There are going to be people out there who say, "Hey, people that vote against things necessarily, it doesn't mean that their voice is being taken into action." But I'm just wondering, from your perspective, what the impact is that you see of that when it's not all moving in the same direction.
Well, reasonable people, can disagree. But like there a lot of these questions, there's not real answers. And if everybody agree, you get two people in a room and they agree on everything, you don't need one of them. So you need dissent, and you need to have healthy conversations. But where that dissent goes over into intent and purpose for other issues that are unrelated to what that people are voting on and people are dealing with, that's where the problem is. And that's what we have with some of our alumni-elected trustees. I mean, they've been working to undermine our athletic department, and that has to stop. I reluctantly, have come out and saying this in this forum because I want to protect Penn State, and Penn State is dealing with an attack, and it's internal, and I want to do everything I can to stop it so that we can be the best we can be.
To have your perspective, it's certainly very, very welcomed and appreciated. So thank you, Brandon. Thank you for joining us.
God, thanks for having me.